You walked into the house of your dreams. The balcony, the view, everything about it is perfect. It's exactly what you envisioned. There's only one small problem. It's $90,000 more than what you can afford. The owner agreed to meet with you and is about to walk in any moment, but you have no idea how to negotiate those $90K to secure the house of your dreams. Lucky for you, today we're learning everything there is to know about how to win a negotiation. Written by the FBI's international hostage negotiator, the book Never Split the Difference shares real, actionable tips because, like you all know, it's not just about reading, but actually putting it to the test. And before you say, I don't need to learn this, I'm not negotiating a house soon, listen up. Our day-to-day is filled with negotiating. Whether you're a toddler or the cute spoiled puppy that has his own stroller, negotiating is basically getting other people to agree to doing it your way. That means the usual fight you have with your partner deciding on where to have dinner. Learn these tips and you'll always end up at the restaurant of your choice. The constant back and forth to get the kids to go to bed on time. Learn to implement step 4 and you'll have the best strategy that they can't say no to. Want to ask for a raise but don't know how to navigate the boss that's always complaining about having no funds? The tips at the end will blow your mind. There's many books and classes on negotiating, but the thing that makes this book different from all the rest is that instead of teaching you to win by being the most dominant and aggressive negotiator, it focuses on how to navigate these situations with a high emotional intelligence. At the end of the day, the people involved in a negotiation each have emotions and each have underlying motivation and desire. The seller that's about to walk through the door might need the money to buy an RV to begin her retirement road trip, but you have no idea about that. Right now, you just see her as the person who is stopping you from having the house of your dreams, therefore making her the bad guy. But having that mindset won't help you win. That's why Chris Voss shares the concept of using tactical empathy during any negotiation. Before we jump into how that's done during the negotiation, let's cover the things you need to do before stepping into a negotiation. A smart negotiator always has a plan. Think about all the counter arguments the opposing person could have and plan what your response would be. When your kids say they want to stay up for 30 more minutes, what are you going to say? When your boss says he has no budget for a raise, what are you going to say? Second thing you need to know is what's your absolute bottom line? Are you willing and able to pay $10,000 more for the house of your dreams? How about $20,000 more? If you can't, that's all right, but you need to know your bottom line before sitting down. Lastly, come prepared with your counter offer using the Ackerman Model. After knowing your bottom line, calculate what 65% of your target price would be, then 85%, then 95%, and lastly, reaching your 100% bottom line. Start your counter offer at 65% and work your way up if needed throughout the negotiation. It's very important to note that no deal is better than a bad deal. You have to know when to walk away. So the seller arrives. You're sitting there face to face in what could be the dining room of your future house. Here's what you need to do. Step 1, use the tactical empathy that Chris Voss shares. This means putting yourself in the other person's shoes. What do you think she's feeling right now? Yes, this is your dream house, but it's also the house she's had for years where she saw her kids grow up, and now it's time to let it go. Being empathetic also means sitting there with a positive attitude. You're more likely to get your way if you are smiling and have an upbeat voice rather than being aggressive and demanding. No one wants to deal with or let a person like that win. Step 2 is to use the mirroring technique. Oftentimes, we don't even listen to what others are saying. because we're so focused on our own thoughts. When was the last time you were an active listener? The last time you talked to someone without thinking about yourself, without planning what you were going to say next, that stopped you from listening to the rest of what that person was saying. Mirroring means you repeat what they've just said. If the seller walks in and says, "Wow, the weather has been acting up lately," you respond by saying something around the lines of, "Oh, with this weather acting up lately," etc., etc. It sounds easy in a short sentence, but it's important to do when she goes off on a 30-minute tangent about how her best memories were in this house that she's about to sell. Step 3 and 4 are some of the most important steps, so listen up, because that's where the magic in negotiating comes in. Your main goal is to get them to feel validated, like you understand exactly what they're saying, and to ultimately get them to say, "That's right." In order to do this, you'll want to use the phrase, "It seems like ... or sounds like ... even something like, "It looks like ... What you're doing here is asking an open-ended question, and hopefully they'll feel validated and respond with, "That's right." And if it's completely wrong, they won't put a guard up because you didn't barge in and ask directly. Pair this with step 4, and instead of saying yes and no directly, ask, "How am I supposed to do that?" For example, if your boss wants you to work overtime, you could say, "How am I supposed to do that if I already worked until 6 p.m. and need to get my kids at 7 p.m.? This turns the negotiation into a problem-solving conversation where both parties are coming up with a solution rather than just fighting for their own individual side. If the seller says the $90,000 extra is very logical for the house you're getting, ask, "How am I supposed to do that if the bank has only approved me for $30,000 more?" Since people tend to focus more on avoiding losses than on gaining benefits, the seller is most likely thinking that if she doesn't sell the house, she's losing out on her retirement dream of traveling the country in her RV, rather than focusing on the $30,000 difference. A good negotiator always creates an illusion of control. This is easily done by providing choices where the other party can choose which way they'd like to take. For example, you can tell your kids that they can go to bed now and have a playground date the next day, or go to bed in 5 minutes and then have no playtime the next day. Setting an anchor point and giving ranges allows the person to know your ballpark without knowing your exact expectation. Because what if they come in with a salary in mind higher than what you expected? You also always want to make the other person go first. So for example, instead of saying, "I'd like my salary to go up to $97,000, you would say, "At X and Y company, this position is earning $90,000 to $120,000. And in case your boss responds with, "Impossible, we don't have that budget," be prepared to respond with what you bring to the table for them, rather than just thinking about yourself. If he's giving you a $20,000 salary increase, wouldn't it be a no-brainer if you're bringing in $50,000 in extra sales for him? Everything in negotiation is how you phrase it and present it to the opposing side. That's why, knowing this, you were able to negotiate your dream house by giving the seller $10,000 more upfront and paying $5,000 more monthly until completing the amount she needed to fund her RV retirement road trip. If you've already read the book, go ahead and drop your thoughts down below. And if this episode left you hungry to know more, the book link is down below in the description.